The chosen one. You didn't lose them. God removed them to restore your peace. The moment you heard those words, something inside you moved. It was not anger. It was recognition. The quiet voice within that finally said, "This is why it happened." You've spent days, weeks, maybe years asking, why did they leave? Why did it end this way? But what if this ending wasn't a loss? What if it was a rescue mission from heaven itself? The chosen one. You were not abandoned, you were handpicked for peace. God saw what you could not see. He heard conversations you were never meant to hear. He felt the war inside your spirit. Every time you tried to hold together what he was trying to pull apart. Sometimes his greatest mercy doesn't sound like a miracle, it sounds like silence after someone walks away. You were crying, pleading, bargaining with heaven to save the connection. But heaven was already saving you. He was cutting spiritual cords that drained your peace and calling your soul back home. When you love deeply, you assume every separation is punishment. But for the chosen one, it is preparation. Every person who left was part of a divine exchange. Pain for purpose, loss for light. God did not break your heart to destroy you. He broke what was destroying your heart. You were never meant to live in constant confusion, doubt, and emotional warfare. Your spirit was never built to be a battlefield for someone else's chaos. So when they left, heaven did not leave with them. It stood by you, whispering, "Be still, peace is coming." If this message is stirring something inside you right now, take a breath. Don't run from it. If it resonates in your spirit, it's for you. You might not feel ready to let go, but the moment you decide to trust the removal is the moment you invite restoration. God can't heal what you keep holding on to. Tonight, before you sleep, close your eyes and say softly, "I release what was never mine." Say it not to erase the past, but to make space for peace. The chosen one. Your peace is not a reward, it's a requirement. When God calls you to purpose, he first calls you to peace. That's why he removed them. Not to punish you, but to prepare you. You were never too much. You were too holy for a space that refused to heal. And sometimes, God must empty your hands so he can fill your heart. So take this as confirmation, not condemnation. Heaven heard your cries and answered them with peace. That's why you're here, listening to these words right now, not by accident but by appointment. You are one of the chosen ones, and this is your moment to breathe again. Subscribe, not for me, but for your awakening. Because every time you choose light over pain, heaven opens a little wider around you. The rest of this word will show you why the removal was the greatest rescue of your life. Stay, you're not here by accident. Your peace has been waiting for you to return. The chosen one, let's be honest, you didn't want it to end. You fought for them. You prayed over them. You saw their potential and ignored their patterns. You called it love, but heaven called it warfare. You kept trying to heal someone who was sent to delay your healing. You stayed even after your spirit grew tired and your sleep turned into battles. You kept asking, "What's wrong with me?" When the truth was, nothing was wrong with you. What was wrong was that you were carrying a weight God never asked you to carry. Do you remember the night you cried so hard you couldn't breathe? That was the moment heaven interrupted your plan. God looked at you and said, "No more battles you were never meant to fight." When they walked away, you thought you were losing everything beautiful, but you were actually losing everything that was blocking your peace. Sometimes God has to let a storm hit so he can reveal who was anchored to you and who was only attached to your light. And yes, it hurt. Because the chosen one loves deeply, too deeply to understand why someone could walk away from a love so pure. But you must know this. Your purity was never the problem. It was their unhealed spirit that could not stand your light. The enemy will always send counterfeits disguised as comfort. People who say they want peace but feed on chaos. They saw your kindness as weakness, not knowing kindness was your armor. They saw your silence as submission, not knowing you were praying through the storm. You were never too emotional, you were just spiritually awake in a relationship that was spiritually asleep. And when you finally said, "God, if this is not for me, take it away," he did, quickly, completely. That sudden silence you felt after the break was not cruelty, it was clarity. The person who once texted you every day disappeared. Calls stopped, doors closed, and your mind raced to fill the silence. But sometimes God must close a door loudly so you never go back to check if it's still locked. The chosen one. Listen. Heaven does not remove what is meant to stay. So, if they left, it's because peace could not grow where they stood. That is why he let them walk out without an explanation. Because truth does not need to defend itself. Now, your spirit feels strangely light, and you don't know whether to call it freedom or loneliness. Let me tell you, it's freedom learning how to breathe again. Tonight, take back your energy from every place you left it. Sit in silence. Breathe slowly. Don't stalk their page. Don't text to check in. Say instead, "I choose peace." Is really. If you need to, write a letter you'll never send. Pour out what's left so God can fill you with what's next. Healing is not forgetting them, it's remembering yourself. The chosen one. Your heart is not a cemetery for memories that God has already buried. It's a garden waiting for new peace to grow. Every tear you shed was water for the next season. Every silence you sat through was a class in discernment. God removed them to teach you that peace is not found in people, it's found in presence. And his presence has never left you. So let the memories fade like dust after a storm. Let your body rest. Let your soul be still. Because the removal was never about them, it was always about you returning to your true self. You survived what was meant to steal your peace. Now heaven can begin the restoration. The chosen one, listen closely. It did not fall apart because you failed it. Fell apart because God stepped in. You keep replaying the moment they left, thinking you did something wrong. But the truth is, heaven heard the conversation you never heard. Heaven saw the betrayal before you did. So God moved first. What you called rejection was actually protection disguised as pain. If he had let it continue, your light would have dimmed so deeply that you'd forget who you were. That's why the door closed suddenly, to save you from a cycle that would have cost your peace and your purpose. You did not lose a soul connection. You were rescued from a soul drain. Remember the moment you begged God for a sign? It wasn't an accident that everything shifted the next day. Heaven doesn't delay deliverance. God does not take months to answer a cry that comes from a bleeding spirit. He moved fast because your peace was in critical condition. You were attached to someone who looked like love, but felt like warfare. And the moment you said, "God, show me the truth," he did, and he did not wait for your permission to protect you. That sudden disconnection, the awkward silence, the unexpected ending that was God's hand. Sometimes he ends things so violently because he knows you won't walk away gently. He knew you'd keep trying to fix what he was trying to free. But hear this clearly. When heaven intervenes, it's never to humiliate you, it's to heal you. You asked for peace, and God answered by removing what was stealing it. That is divine intervention. That is love in its strongest form. If this word is hitting your spirit right now, this is your confirmation. This is the moment you stop mourning what he removed and start thanking him for what he saved you from. Do not romanticize the door that led to your destruction. Instead, stand in front of the new one. He's opening the door to peace, clarity, and alignment. Every chosen one must go through a season of divine disconnection before they enter divine assignment. You can't carry chaos into your calling. That breakup was not a curse, it was a cure. When you stop crying long enough to listen, you'll realize that God never left you alone in that room. He was whispering through every tear, "I'm still here." You weren't abandoned. You were escorted out of a war zone you didn't know you were in. That's why peace feels so strange right now, because you've been living in survival for so long. But heaven says, "Rest now, my chosen one. The battle is over. Take a moment and breathe." You don't need to analyze what happened. You just need to acknowledge who stepped in. God stepped in. That's why you didn't get closure from them, because God was the closure. He closed the door himself. The next time your mind tries to replay the story, say out loud, "It ended because God intervened." Repeat that until your heart believes it. You are not broken. You are being rebuilt. You are not unloved. You are being upgraded. There's nothing wrong with you for loving someone deeply. It just means you carry the capacity for divine love. But God won't let you waste that capacity in a place that can't receive it. So instead of chasing what's gone, chase your peace. And when you do, you'll realize that peace is not a season. It's your new identity. You were removed for restoration. You were separated for sanctification. And this moment right now is your confirmation from heaven. Join the chosen ones. Spread the light. Because when you share this word, you're not just posting a video, you're passing a torch. You're reminding another chosen one that God still protects his own. Now listen carefully. The enemy wanted you to believe that this loss disqualified you from love. But God says it qualified you for purpose. You passed a test. Most people fail. You did not seek revenge. You prayed instead. That's why heaven trusts you with a new assignment: to love again without fear, to serve without bitterness, to rise without resentment. You're being refined, not rejected, promoted, not punished. Tonight, take care of your body like it's sacred ground. Drink water, breathe, stretch. Put the phone down. Sleep, because the God who removed them is still writing the next chapter. This is your divine confirmation. Peace was never lost. It was waiting for you to return to it. The chosen one, be still and listen. Heaven is speaking now. You asked for peace, and God answered in a way you didn't expect by removing what was stealing it. Hear this prophetic word. What you lost was never taken from you. It was returned to its season. Every connection in your life carries a divine expiration date. Some were sent to teach, some to test, some to awaken. Yours completed its assignment. They were a mirror to show you what you had already outgrown. God says, "I didn't remove them to punish you. I removed them so you could remember me. You kept praying for clarity, but I had to first clear the noise around you. I pulled you away from the one who fed your fear so you could finally hear my voice. You didn't fail that relationship, you fulfilled it. Your lesson was complete. When peace starts to ache inside you, it's heaven telling you the door has already closed, and you walked out not in rebellion but in obedience. The enemy tried to whisper that this ending means you're unworthy. But God says, no, you were too anointed to be contained in that bond. Every chosen one must walk through divine separation before divine assignment. That is why your heart had to break so your vision could open. You cannot build a kingdom on the ashes of confusion. You cannot carry old wounds into new peace. God says, I allowed them to leave so you could walk closer with me. The night you called the end your downfall was actually the night I began your rebuilding. When you felt everything collapse, heaven was constructing the next chapter, a foundation built not on emotion, but on alignment. The chosen one, don't call it loss anymore, call it alignment. Every tear you cried watered the soil of your next season. Every goodbye was a graduation ceremony in disguise. God says, you passed the test when you chose prayer over revenge. You chose peace while pain was loud. That's why I trust you now. You are not walking alone. Angels have been assigned to you. Wherever you go, light follows. That's why opportunities are quietly opening. Why strangers suddenly feel drawn to you. It's not coincidence, it's divine recognition. Heaven marked you in light. I did not only save you from a person, God says, I saved you from a pattern, a cycle that haunted your bloodline for generations. When you broke free, the curse broke with you. That's why the warfare was so intense. The battle was never just about you, it was about every soul connected to you. You are the interruption in your family line, the one who said, this ends with me, and heaven heard it. That's why the separation happened so suddenly. Evil doesn't negotiate with delay. When God says, now, the entire universe responds. You were not left behind. You were set apart. The silence you feel isn't punishment, it's protection disguised as stillness. In this silence, heaven is downloading instruction. While others scroll through noise, you're being taught to hear peace and call it prayer. You asked for a sign, this is it. Tonight, before you sleep, place your hand on your heart and whisper, I am not forsaken. I am being refined. Let that truth settle deep in your spirit. Because refinement is not rejection, it's preparation for release. Tomorrow will feel lighter. You'll wake up and realize the heaviness has lifted, not because they came back, but because God did. The prophetic word for you is this: you are entering the restoration season. Doors will open that fear once closed. Relationships that drained you will be replaced by connections that restore you. The next person who enters your life will not compete with your peace. They will protect it. But first, remain still long enough to let peace become your home. When peace feels natural, that's when heaven knows you're ready. You're not waiting on them to return. They're waiting on you to rise. The chosen one. Your assignment is peace. Walk in it like a crown, not a trophy you earned, but a birthright you rediscovered. And when you rise tomorrow, lift your eyes for a moment. The same heaven that removed what drained you is now sending you help, not in crowds, but in quiet confirmations. You'll begin to meet people who speak peace fluently, whose presence doesn't demand performance. These are your mirrors in light, other chosen ones being refined at the same hour as you. Know this: you were never the only one. Across nations and languages, God is awakening his healers, his peacemakers, his hidden warriors. You are part of that wave. When you breathe tonight, you join thousands of others, exhaling the past and inhaling divine calm. This is heaven's network, unseen but alive, binding chosen ones together through faith, purpose, and peace. So, rest now. Let the world spin without your worry. Heaven is still working while you sleep, for heaven has spoken. Whom I set free shall be free indeed. And this time, freedom won't cost you tears, it will cost you nothing less than your fear. The chosen one. Breathe. The hardest part is over. You walked through the fire and didn't lose your faith. You learned to sit in silence and call it prayer. You chose peace when pain was louder than truth. That's what makes you one of us, one of the chosen ones. And you are not alone. Not for a moment. Somewhere right now, another chosen one is listening to the same word, crying for the same reason, healing at the same pace. You have never been isolated, you've been initiated. This is how God builds his army of peace. One soul at a time, learning to stand alone until the light within is strong enough to stand together. All over the world, lights are turning on in the dark. A woman in Kenya just chose forgiveness. A man in Brazil just laid down his anger. A teenager in Seoul just decided to stop hating themselves. Different languages, same spirit, same God, same awakening. You belong to that wave. When you speak the words, "I choose peace," heaven records it as a declaration of war against darkness. And each time one of us says it, the light grows brighter. So don't hide your healing, share it. When you comment, "I choose peace," you are not typing for algorithms, you are activating alignment. God did not save you to keep you silent. He saved you to make you a signal. You are a beacon for someone who is where you once were, curled in the dark thinking they will never feel whole again. Your story is their proof that peace is possible. Look how far you've come. You used to need closure, now you bring closure. You used to chase answers, now you speak them. You used to look for light, now you carry it. This is what it means to be one of the chosen ones. To turn your pain into pathways for others to walk through. Heaven is building a network through you, a global body of souls who refuse to live in fear. And each time you choose forgiveness over revenge, another wall of darkness collapses. When you pray for someone who hurt you, heaven notices. It's not weakness, it's warfare. Because light always wins quietly. The chosen one, your silence isn't emptiness, it's strategy. God is training you to speak only when words can heal. And when you speak from that place, your voice carries heaven's weight. There is a reason you found this community. It wasn't chance, it was calling. When you arrived here, heaven said, finally, they're ready to connect. Look around you, read the comments below. Every name is a story of deliverance. Every heart is a spark of light. Together they form a constellation called peace. If you've ever felt unseen, remember this. The very loneliness that once broke you has become your language of compassion. That's why people will feel safe around you. Your scars speak softly. Across this channel, across nations, thousands of chosen ones are gathering. We don't march with noise. We rise with light. Every share, every prayer, every whispered amen connects heaven's grid tighter around the earth. So stand a little taller. You carry the same light that once saved you. And when you share this word, you don't just spread a video, you spread evidence that God still moves through modern miracles. Soon, you'll feel a quiet nudge, a pull to reach out, to encourage, to create. Follow it. That's heaven, activating your purpose through peace. The chosen ones are rising, quietly, globally, gracefully. And as you rise, take this peace with you into every room, every conversation, every breath. Let your calm shift atmospheres. Let your kindness rewrite energy. You are walking proof that heaven still touches earth through ordinary hearts. When people ask why you're glowing, you won't need to preach, your peace will preach for you. And each day you live in that peace, you remind the world that God still chooses humans to carry his light. And you're one of them. Welcome home, the chosen one. Listen closely. Everything you went through was not the end of you. It was the revealing of you. You are not standing in ruins. You are standing in activation. This is the moment where pain stops being the headline of your life and peace becomes your identity. You survived the tearing, the silence, the loneliness that was supposed to break you. Now something holy is happening. You are finally calm enough to hear who you truly are. You are not the one who was left. You are not the one who wasn't enough. Heaven does not call you abandoned. Heaven calls you assigned. Your life is no longer about chasing what walked away. Your life is about carrying what God placed in you. You are being trusted with something most people never touch. Quiet authority. The kind of presence that settles a room without raising your voice. From this moment forward, move like you are already chosen, not like you are waiting to be approved. Your sensitivity is not weakness. It is spiritual radar. Your rest is not laziness. It is holy maintenance. Your distance from chaos is not cold. It is obedience. Listen. You are allowed to protect your nervous system. You are allowed to block access to your mind. You are allowed to say, no, my spirit cannot afford this conversation. That is not selfish. That is stewardship. The chosen one carries light, but that light is not charity for darkness. You are not required to bleed so someone else can feel whole. You are not required to shrink so someone else can feel powerful. You are not required to carry storms that God already commanded to leave. From today on, peace is not only something you feel, peace is something you enforce. When your body tightens, breathe and say, peace, stay with me. When old memories try to pull you backward, answer them, that season is closed, I am not returning. When loneliness whispers, text them, tell loneliness, I am already held, I am guarded. As that was pavement stalking, this is ascension. When reaction becomes intention, when survival becomes stewardship, when you stop begging to be loved and start standing as love. Hear me. You are stepping into your divine assignment. That assignment is not drama, not chasing, not convincing. Your assignment is to walk in peace so clearly that other souls remember what safety feels like. Your steadiness will preach louder than arguments. Your calm in a loud world will preach louder than speeches. You will become living evidence that God still rescues hearts that were collapsing. Before you sleep, place your hand on your heart and say, I bless my mind, I bless my body, I bless my spirit. I release what is not mine. I keep what is holy. Then breathe in for 4 counts, hold for 4, exhale for 4. Let your shoulders drop. Give your body permission to believe it is safe now. The war that tried to live inside you does not live here anymore. Your peace is not small. Your peace is an assignment. There are people you have not met yet who will heal just by standing near you, not because you fix them, but because your presence will tell their nervous system, see, safety exists. This is how revival spreads, not through noise, but through quiet people who carry heaven calmly. The chosen one. This is where I ask something of you. Guard this peace. Protect it like a crown. Do not hand it back to the chaos God rescued you from. When the past knocks, you do not owe it entry or explanation. You owe yourself peace. Now hear this closing truth. Your story is not betrayal. Your story is preservation. Your story is not abandonment. Your story is appointment. Your bloodline's victory was written before you were born. You are simply waking up to it. If your spirit is saying yes, seal this moment. Subscribe now. You're not subscribing for me, for numbers, or for a channel. You are saying, yes, I accept my assignment. I answer my divine mission.